Highwaymen are easily becoming a lot of people's most used factions and a fan favorite, if not for anything else but their passive. But does it really give you the speed increases that you think it does? Let's find out. Hey guys, Nightfall here, and today I went into the firing range to put the Highwaymen passive to the test. Their passive is called Rev, and as you stack more kills, it slowly revs up, giving you faster rate of fire and faster reload speed. Part of me thinks this is the reason why they made the changes to the rapid fire that they did and the muzzle booster to get people to stop using it so they just use the Highwaymen instead. But after this video, let's see if you still want to use them or maybe go back to your old main faction. Let's first break down the passive so we have clear expectations on what we're looking for in each test. Getting your first kill will give you a 2.5% rate of fire increase and a 5% reload speed increase. 2 kills will increase those numbers to 5% rate of fire and 10% reload. And if you manage to string together 4 kills without dying, you'll get a 7.5% rate of fire increase plus a 15% reload speed increase. Pairing those stats with things like a fast mag and rapid fire barrels and muzzle boosters sound deadly, but does it actually work? These are all questions that we're going to find out with our 2 tests per level of Rev passive, and the first test will be a rate of fire test in which we'll start the timer as soon as the first bullet is fired and stop the timer when the ammo UI says 0. Then we'll also be doing a reload speed test in which the timer starts when the crosshair disappears from the screen, and then stop the timer when it reappears, all measured frame by frame in a video editing software. And before we hop into those tests, if you're watching this, I'm probably live right now, and if not, you missed me. So come check me out on both Twitch and YouTube. I'll leave my Twitch link in the description because it's a little weird. My name on there has an LIL at the end instead of 3 L's because I guess someone took my name. But anyway, if you like this type of content, make sure you like and subscribe, and let's get into those tests. This is the rate of fire test, and all tests will use an ACR, and on the left, you'll always have the base weapon, no rev, no attachments. So we see that the base ACR has a rate of fire to get through all 30 bullets of 2.75 seconds, and with the lowest rev setting activated on medium, we get that time down to 2.683, which is literally 0.002 seconds away from what it should have been. So either I'm getting really good at these tests, or Ubisoft really stepped up their game and actually made sure that these times matched up to what they should be. So this one is an obvious pass as we get almost exactly what we should have gotten. So onto the reload speed test, and we see the base ACR takes 2.283 seconds to reload, which sometimes feels like an eternity when you're on that last few bullets and you need to reload and you know an enemy is hunting you down. But with the medium rev active, it only takes 2.15 seconds, which is not much of a time saver, but the real gains aren't meant to be until later. Either way, it's very close to what we should have seen, so again, this one is an easy pass. And while I'm not testing the stacking capability of the attachments with each rev passive, I will test it later with the highest max rev, so stay tuned for that. Next up, our rate of fire test with high rev and the base ACR again on the left. No change, same as before. And now the time to fly through 30 bullets with the high rev is down to 2.633. This is obviously a pass as well because again, while it's not spot on, it's extremely close and we always leave room for error. So moving on to the high rev reload speed test, it's shaved over 0.2 seconds off the base ACR time and is now down to 2.05 seconds. And again, another pass. So Ubisoft really must be stepping up their quality game on these things because we've seen some pretty massive fails on both rate of fire and reload speed in the past. Let's see if that holds true for the max rev and attachment stacks. So again, base ACR on the left, now we have max rev on the right, and the rate of fire is now down to 2.566 seconds. And yes, this is another pass. So at max rev, you're shooting your ACR almost 0.2 seconds faster through 30 bullets. Is that worth it? Enough for you to use this faction over something like Phantom or DedSec? I'm not so sure I'm on board with this, but it is a pass. And now let's check out the reload speed. So max rev reload speed on an ACR is 1.933 seconds, which is just under 2-second reload time, and that's pretty good if you ask me. I did want to test this on an LMG just to see how fast it could get those times, but I wanted to keep the testing all the same weapon throughout, and trying to fire 100 bullets was just painstaking. Also, I wanted to check the recoil patterns as well, which we'll talk about in a moment, and trying to get all 100 bullets to fit on the target to test a recoil pattern is not going to happen. But the reload speed test seems to pass as well, and so that's all levels of the rev passive tested and all levels passed, so Highwaymen actually pass our quality check with 100%, and that may very well be our first 100% quality check video that I've ever done, if I remember correct. But what if we throw a rapid fire and a muzzle booster on there? Does it stack correctly? Holy f, that just turned this thing into a straight up SMG. So yes, it does stack correctly with rate of fire, but something interesting occurred, and I didn't show the recoil patterns after each one because they were all basically identical. But now with the two attachments on here, neither of which affect recoil anymore, and if they still did, this is not the effect that we should have got. The recoil is actually significantly less, which is very odd, but definitely worth noting. So we'll just file that away for our own knowledge, and we'll move on to the reload speed test. This reload speed test will have the fast mag equipped, which gives an additional 40% reload speed on top of the 15% we already get for the max rev, which is a total of 55% faster reload speed, and it achieves just that. In fact, it clocks in slightly faster than expected at 1 second flat. So stacking does seem to work as expected. Granted, I haven't tested it with all different weapons and both bags and each individual barrel versus the muzzle booster, but it seems to work just fine. But let's talk final thoughts here. Are the Highwaymen faction worth playing? Well, in TDM or Occupy or something along those lines, the increases you get from the passive can help immensely, and the turret they have can be very helpful in holding down the objective. In fact, the turret probably should get a nerf, but maybe that's just me. Speaking of the turret, I'll have a best turret placement for every map video coming out soon, so be on the lookout for that. And while we're on the subject of videos coming out soon, regarding the whole YouTube copyright strike drama that I went through recently, I'll have a summed up video all in one. You won't have to check all the other videos that I've made to catch up. I'm just going to make one start to finish, sum it all up, how it turned out, what happened, as soon as these copyright strikes fall off, which should be here in the next week or so. If you want to try to catch up in the meantime, I have relisted some of the videos, but some of the more main plot videos, if you will, have been delisted because those were the ones that were copyright strike. So you may be missing a few parts here and there, but my goal is to get that video out, and I also don't want it to take away from the main content that I'm doing, but I do want to keep you guys in the loop since most of you have shown immense support on both YouTube and Twitch, and I just wanted to take a moment to say that I greatly appreciate everybody that stuck by my side and backed me up on all the things that we were doing in trying to out the Smurfs, out the boosters, out the cheaters, and rest assured that content will not stop. In fact, I have a major update video coming out soon as well, and I know I have a lot of videos coming out. I'm going to be busy. So if you do enjoy that type of Smurf or booster or cheater, drama, clickbait, rage bait, hate bait, whatever you want to call it, if you enjoy keeping up with all that stuff in XDefiant, I got you covered. But let's get back to our final thoughts on the Highwaymen faction. The only time I'd say using Highwaymen is not a great choice is attacking on escort, because the goal is to move the package, so a stationary turret doesn't provide a lot of use, or at least not as much as holding down a point, and their other ability, the grenade launcher, is a joke. So you're basically throwing your abilities out the window by choosing them in this mode. But if you still really want the passive and you kind of like the ultra, I guess go for it. But everywhere else, definitely a viable option. So tell me, do you use this faction? Will you use it more or less now after this video? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one.